What is going on, guys? This is another Pop Culture Crisis movie review for the 100th anniversary Disney animated film Wish. It just came out today. This is a film in which you follow a young character named Asha who wishes upon a star and gets more than she bargained for as she has to go against the evil King Magnifico, portrayed by Chris Pine.
Mm-hmm. This movie was preceded by a lot of social media talk because as the trailer came out and clips came out, it looked like Princess Asha is actually the villain of her story.
We said that.
We argued that the king seems like the protagonist that you should be rooting for. And it turned out we were right, but like even more so than we thought originally.
So they live in the kingdom of Rosis, which is a utopian island in which everyone is welcome. There's communist propaganda, as you said, absolutely everywhere in this movie. The first note that I wrote down in my notes is laissez-faire immigration will absolutely kill you. And clearly that ends up being one of the problems here. And that's I make that half as a joke, but this is a racially diverse
communist utopia.
We are going to get into spoilers
society
here, ladies and gentlemen. In this kingdom, King Magnifico grants you, or he takes your wish on your 18th birthday, a wish you freely give him, because once you give the king your wish, you no longer long for that thing that you've wished for your whole life. And a lot of people in the movie make the point to say it's a load off to not have to think about that.
Right.
But Asha, who goes to do an interview with the king to see if she can be his apprentice, is there really because she wants to have her grandfather's wish granted for his 100th birthday. He grants a wish every so often to one of these stars that are in his, or these, they're not stars, but he grants one of these wishes at a wish ceremony every so often. And when she discovers the wish in the room, she goes through it and the king looks at it and tells her, I can't grant this wish. It's too non-specific, because basically the grandfather's wish, it shows him playing a guitar, and he says that he wishes that he could inspire everyone in the kingdom of in the island of Rosis. And the king points out, he goes, I don't know what that means. It's too non-specific. Does he mean inspire a revolution? Does he mean inspire violence? All of these things, which if you're an adult, that's a very reasonable thing to believe. And then when they do go to a wish ceremony later, the wish he grants to another member of the island of Rosis is extremely specific. She asks, I want to make the prettiest dresses in all the land. He grants that wish. At this point, I'm watching this and I'm like, yes, he's a little self-centered. He's a little egotistical, but he's a king. Mm-hmm. I don't see the problem here.
Right.
The problem is he is later corrupted by dark magic.
So Asha basically assumes that the king is forcing people to give their wishes over to him.
That's the big lie here.
Which is the big lie, because they're voluntarily giving him their wishes so that they don't have to be burdened with the responsibility of working for what they desire in life. They give him the wish because they are taking a chance on getting a handout. That's what they want. So they're voluntarily doing this. They are also voluntarily living in this kingdom. They don't have to live there. They can go off somewhere else, and her grandfather could have gone somewhere else and worked to create something to inspire the next generation like he wanted originally, but he didn't.
One of the things that's very interesting is, like, even though the king is egotistical and the king is very much centered and shown as the bad guy, he talks a lot about the burden of ruling, the burden of being the one who protects all of these people. Now, it's a Disney kids movie, so they don't explain what that means. It's not like you're looking at the king's military through most of this, but he talks about the burden of leadership and being in charge, but he's always portrayed as self-centered and narcissistic, and that leads to evil down the line, right? But he's not inherently evil to begin with. He's just crass and self-centered. And the other thing is, they talk a lot about how the wishes aren't his. Well, then whose are they? They were given freely to him, right? She constantly says that he stole them. She's either lying or the movie is lying to you.
Right. This is definitely communist propaganda through and through, but I think that just as much it is an anti-religion movie.
And you had to point this out to me because I showed this video I showed one of the songs to someone the other night. There was a specific line in this
Yes.
song that set me off as knowing that was communist propaganda, but you said it's also inherently anti-religious.
So she makes a wish upon a star for everyone to get their wishes back so that the king will no longer have them anymore. And then this chubby baby demon star comes down from the sky, and she goes on basically a shroom trip in the woods where all of the plants and animals start talking and singing to her. And they explain the true nature of the universe, which has been hidden from her this entire time, which is that we are our own creators. We are all made of stardust. You are your own origin story. That is literally a line in the song. They say we are all shareholders in the universe. That's an actual line.
When that line got said, I just looked at Mary. I'm like, ugh.
It is Reddit atheist propaganda. Yeah. We are all made of stardust. Therefore, the king's authority is completely illegitimate. She questions his authority despite the fact that he makes this utopian society possible for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that really this movie skewers the idea that an omnipotent and omnibenevolent God could exist. But if he does exist, specifically in this godlike character with sorcerer powers, he definitely is a petulant egomaniac narcissist with bad intentions who uses his power for evil.
The problem I had with it is while he is the character not as a god figure but just as a king is portrayed as narcissistic, he doesn't become evil until he uses this dark magic, which he'd been warned against. And I oftentimes, when we do a lot of these reviews, I get annoyed when they redeem characters. Now in this film, I think this would have been a perfect chance to try and redeem the king. I wouldn't have agreed with him necessarily changing his ways after the fact, but given the fact that this also includes his wife essentially just leaving him and giving up on him and not seeming to have any conflict about that whatever, breaking the spell that the evil book had on him and then having him see the error of his ways, even if I don't agree with it, would have seemed to have been a better story to tell. Also, his character in general, they point out that it's not just him smiting the wishes of people isn't just a knock at Ron DeSantis, which is what they say Disney is doing. It's also the way that he essentially sends the guards out after Asha. They say that it's a callback to McCarthy, that it's McCarthyism.
Wow.
So there's this isn't from Breitbart. This was from RogerEbert.com that said this.
Okay.
This is not the propaganda is so thinly veiled that even a person who doesn't necessarily see it in everything that they watch would absolutely find it noticeable here.
This would have been a better story if Asha usurped the king's power, gave everyone their wishes back, or granted everyone's wishes, whatever. And we realized that the king was right in a certain sense, that some people's wishes are dangerous, some of them conflict with each other, and the kingdom is no longer utopia, everything goes to shit. She realizes that she made a terrible mistake, she regrets it, and she needs to fix it. She learns a lesson from that experience.
But she doesn't.
But that's not what happens here. Asha has no character arc. She has no character development at all.
She was right.
She was right all along. Yeah. She's proven right in the end. And the king was wrong all along. There is no evolution in the characters at all.
And if you think that I'm being hyperbolic when I say that there's propaganda in this, and you have a right to be skeptical, people absolutely go overboard when they say this. One of the last lines in this movie from a talking goat is, "I wish to live in a utopian metropolis where all mammals are equal." You don't use utopian metropolis in a movie unless it's propaganda. I'm sorry. It is. It's communist propaganda.
Yeah. The overall message here is that if we all band together, we can be more powerful than God. And that's why my takeaway was a child cannot walk away from this movie after imbibing its message and ever pray to God again, because this is a direct allegory for God and the way that prayer works. And this is a childish, selfish assumption that God should answer my prayers in exactly the timing and exactly the manner in which I deem appropriate, that I presume is right. And if he doesn't, then he must not be either all powerful or all good. That is a direct attack on religion.
Yeah. The animation in it was iffy. It looked like they went from hand drawn, they mixed in some hand drawn style there, which had some interesting ideas, but for the most part, to me, felt unfinished and just uninspired. The kingdom itself looked uninspired to me most of the film. The music was fine. It was about what you'd expect for it. It's not going to have any like Frozen type songs. There will be no We Don't Talk About Bruno in this movie.
None of it was catchy. I didn't really like her singing voice either. It kind of was giving musical theater Shakira.
The it is not in a sense, as much as it is about a revolution, they are back right where they started, but with a woman in charge.
Right. So they end up living.
It doesn't become an island or a kingdom by the people for the people. The queen is now in charge. So she really just committed treason against.
You go from a utopia where everyone is theoretically living a lie, or forgetting what their true desires are, and then when you throw the king in the dungeon at the queen's request, and the queen is now the ruler, you live in a similar utopia, except a woman is in charge. And she doesn't display any remorse or any conflict whatsoever with losing her husband, who was the love of her life.
That she built the kingdom.
She was completely loyal to, and we never see anything in him that she liked about him. Yeah. He's just an egomaniac from the very beginning.
The film it felt like there was a bunch of half-baked ideas that could have been filled out into something much more meaningful. And the movie was only an hour and 35 minutes, so they didn't even take the time to do that. There was more story that could have been told here, that could have at least there should have been at least some self-doubt for her, which she feels a little bit of when she tries to explain to her grandpa why he deserves to have his wish filled, and she was going to tell him about it, and then he gets mad at her. But then she doesn't have any self-doubt for that. She runs out and then is immediately granted her wish by what did you call it? The demon star.
Yeah, this chubby baby demon star, which is there only to sell toys.
I mean, yeah, that and the goat are both there to sell toys. And you don't see any growth from the character, and a little bit of humility on the part of Asha. And by the way, I thought that Ariana DeBois' performance of her was fine. With what she's given, as much as I have a problem with the material, I thought that she played the character probably exactly how it's supposed to be played on paper. Right?
Guess.
It's not like a clunky, the dialogue isn't clunky when delivered. It sounds fine, whatever. It's Alan Tudyk who plays the goat, and I love Alan Tudyk, but you can't get over the heavy-handed messaging, which is a shame for Disney on their 100th anniversary. They spent a lot of time putting in Easter eggs to other franchises, all of which just feel like they were dumped in there by some ChatGPT program that they asked to help them write out their 100th anniversary movie. It's uninspired. I was talking with Wesley earlier about how hard it is to make great art when the message is what comes first. I mean, that's what they used to say about religious films, right? That religious films suffered because the message came before the storytelling, is now a problem of mainstream Hollywood because their own version of the message is now overtaking the storytelling. They no longer put the story first. Mm-hmm. They put the message first.
Yeah. In one of these Disney 100th anniversary promo pics, they showed Princess Asha as the newest Disney princess holding hands with Snow White, who is the oldest Disney princess. And it's just antithetical to everything that you know a Disney princess to be. I don't think Asha has anything in common with Snow White or any of these other traditional stories. It doesn't resonate at all, and should not ever be a role model for young girls.
Unfortunately, that type of cultural narcissism is now the mainstay in our world, so I don't think that it's going anywhere. I think the movie suffers from poor storytelling, poor execution, and unbelievably blatant propaganda that ruins this film. I would not if you're gonna go watch this movie, I recommend you go watch it and look for what we're talking about. Maybe you think we're wrong. Maybe you think that what we're seeing isn't really there. I would be interested, if you believe that, to leave so down in the comments. But if you're
Seriously,
gonna go
don't
watch-
bring a child to watch this. I think that this is the type of story that is morally malforming children today.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.